I've seen people still in their feelings about some type of partisanship, the tribal mentality. Let me tell you, this is the most disturbing thing that I believe has happened in modern American history, one of the biggest cover-ups. And I'm going to walk through what we're actually looking at, okay? Talking about Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. She shows up with what Thomas Massey says is some type of insult flashcards. Staff literally gave her flashcards with individualized insults, but she couldn't memorize them. So you can see her shuffle through them to find flashcard insults to match the member. So the deflection starts off with trying to insult. And we're talking flashcards, the Attorney General, okay? Not legal references, not trying to, hey, let's get some justice for these children, but individualized insults for members of Congress that are trying to get to the bottom of it, okay? So instead of answering questions about Epstein, she goes through pre-written attacks, okay? The deflection. And this is where it gets darker. Bondi appears to have printouts of the various Congress that has looked through the DOJ Epstein database. Okay, let that sink in. Let that sink in. And we'll take a screenshot of show a screenshot here. And we're going to get into that search history in a moment because it's terrible. Now, it's unclear how she had access to it, but what it shows you that this current administration, FBI always has, the Attorney General, everybody, corruption. It's corruption, surveillance. We're talking about an internal query system when a member of Congress searched into the Epstein system and what they were looking for. How does that even happen? Why does that even exist? And why is it being used as a weapon at a hearing to find answers to these perpetrators? That is alarming and disgusting. I'm going to play a news clip here for you. You can hear them discussing this absolute
graph for you to take a look at. These are notes that the Attorney General brought to the hearing today. Okay, it was captured by a photographer who was in the room. And this shows a list of Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, you saw her in some of those clips, of her search history. And this, of course, lawmakers are allowed now to go to a DOJ facility, to sit down at a computer, and to search unredacted files. We have learned from this photo that the searches that members of Congress are performing are apparently being tracked and then read by the Department of Justice, by the Attorney General. What do you make of that development?
I mean, you have to really let that sink in. They are surveilling what these folks are looking at. Let's just look at one of these redacted emails here. Subject line is Trump. The whole daggum body is blacked out completely. If it clears him, release it. If it incriminates him, release it. But this half transparency, half blackout nonsense. This is narrative management, right? And this is, I'm going to get one of the most disturbing things that I've seen. Okay. We have an email here. Snow White. The Snow White was effed twice as soon as she put on her costume. Why is the from name redacted? There's an image of a young woman redacted, obviously underage, in a Snow White costume. These people need to burn in hell, really. And I cannot understand how you can, at this point in time, at all defend this administration. And the red hats get so tied up. They're trying to indict him. This is beyond that, dude. This email here, you should be sharpening your K-bar at this moment. Anyone trying to defend this administration at this point forward, you are complicit to this. Are you standing on the right side of history or not? Bragging about assaulting someone twice, a child. Then we have this email referencing a 9-year-old. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute. The from Redacted. Why on earth are we calling a 9-year-old using this language? Then look at this one. Age 10. Name from Redacted. Those aren't victims' names. 10 years old. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is not a rumor. That is not a mistake by the DOJ. That is the email, and it is redacted. Co-conspirators are being blacked out. And then there's this thing circulating that Bondi said this should terrify everybody. If we prosecute everybody in the Epstein files, the whole system will collapse. Good. Then collapse it. Let's start over again. Because if your system cannot survive prosecuting child abusers, it's corrupt beyond repair, and we need to start over. Massey said it right here. Listen.
A few years from now is, where were you on the Epstein issue? Just like before this Epstein thing, I think the question for me was, where were you during COVID? Were you in favor of the lockdowns and the mandates and the free money? Were you silent, or were you opposed to these things? And the same thing goes on Epstein. Were you for releasing the files, or were you calling it a hoax, or were you just too chicken to come out and say anything? And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the politicians right now who are being considered the future of the GOP are either in the category of agreeing that it's a hoax or just keeping their mouth shut because they don't have the courage and the political will to do the right thing. And so I don't think you should trust those people later. And it's the same goes for...
No, you cannot trust these people. If anybody's defending this, you cannot trust them whatsoever.
The news sources and the influencers on the internet. The question a few years from now is, if a year ago they were for releasing the files and now they don't even want to talk about it, that the files are released, then you know they're part of the problem. They're not going to be part of any solution going forward. If you can't take up for kids who are being sex trafficked.
What will be your line in the sand if you can't do that? The David Harris's, all these other bought and paid for influencers that are still defending. I saw David Harris post yesterday that, oh yeah, Pam Bondi did a great job with these Democrat attacks. And we're going to get to Pam Bondi in just a second from something today. But both sides are circling this. It ain't just Democrats, it's also Republicans. Both of them are in the orbit. Okay, we have both. Howard Lutnick. Listen.
The Justice Department asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Epstein.
Excuse me. Secretary Lutnick has addressed those ties himself.
I'm asking you, has the Justice Department specifically asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
He has addressed those ties himself.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has addressed those or not.
Has the Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay, I'm reclaiming my time. I'm asking you not a trick question, a simple question.
A simple yes or no. Have you asked Lutnick, because he's been to the island multiple times, confirmed, he even admitted it. Have you brought him in and questioned him? No, we're going to bring up a Border Patrol agent. Obviously terrible, being shot and killed. However, this is not the time or place for that. We are talking about the files and you covering it up.
Okay, so what is clear is we have evidence.
Do you know
that
who Chris Malin is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I
does ties mean?
I can conclude
What does
from what
ties
you
mean?
are saying that you have not talked
Freaking been to the island. Let's start there with Lutnick.
to them.
What does ties mean? Can
I
you
think
define
Americans would be shocked.
Can you define what a
Specifically-
woman is? It's completely the same as Ketanji Brown. What is a woman? Can you define it?
You are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does
across
ties
the
mean?
world,
Can you define that?
across the world,
Can you
prominent
define
men
ties?
who've been exposed in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace, and that's a good first start. And that same
Disgrace is
standard,
not saying the word
this
Chris
same
Malin.
standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Malin?
Was the president
he?
aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask
was he?
questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair.
One second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so
He
I'm
was
going to
shot,
conclude
and
that
she
the president, in
never
fact,
mentioned
did
him
know about his
in
ties
her
because he
district.
was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic. This
beautiful
is
state.
pathetic, Mr.
Committee will
Chair.
be in order.
I am not asking trick questions here.
You
The
got your
American
5
people
minutes.
have a right to know the answers to this. These are
And then I hear people saying, oh man, but the Democrats had it. They didn't. Just going back to Thomas Massey, the Democrats are trying to protect themselves too. They're involved too. It's both parties. It's both parties. It's the elites. They're all corrupt. All of them. All of them. Go get a shirt that we're selling right now. Dare. Democrats and Republicans, Epstein. It's all of them. It's all of them. Even we got Hakeem Jeffries popping up asking for freaking money from Epstein. Look at there. We are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in the New York congressional delegation. Sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack. I almost vomited when I read that part. The redactions don't care about party, ladies and gentlemen. The victims didn't care about parties either. The abuse didn't care about parties. And instead of transparency, we're getting this deflection, search history weaponization, redactions, and then system collapse warnings. That tells you everything. This isn't just about protecting the president, the party. It's about protecting the structure. It's them versus us. And if prosecuting evil collapses that structure, then maybe it was built on evil. This follow-up isn't speculation. It's pattern recognition, deflect, redact, delay, threaten, collapse. No. If the price of justice is institutional collapse and start over. Let's burn it down, build something clean. Because I'm sorry, no government that protects child predators deserves loyalty. None. And that is the line. That is the line in the sand. Now, I see a lot of people sitting here stating, oh, they're just trying to, this Democrat hoax, they're trying to get Trump. He's not guilty. Well, he is guilty of something. He's guilty. He didn't want to release the files. It took Congress to essentially force the hand. He had to sign off on it or it was going to look like something to hide. They had thousands of people redacting. You saw the email, complete redaction of the whole body of the email. He went against Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He is in charge of Pam Bondi. If Pam Bondi, you can blame her all you want, which she's part of it because she's complicit. But they're like, she needs to be fired. He hired a bad DOJ. Well, he hired her, and she's still there today. She should be kicked out of office of her role today in this administration. But here Marjorie Taylor Greene say it for herself. She was threatened, condemned. Call her Marjorie Taylor Brown. Remember that?
By the president over this. This is why he called me a traitor. He called me a traitor because I would not take my name off the discharge petition, because I stood firmly and said, no, we're going to release the Epstein files. I'm standing with women who were as teenagers. I'm not standing with the government. I don't support the cover up of all of this stuff, whatever it may be. And the president got mad at me, and he's told me, and I've said this multiple times, he told me his friends would get hurt. And that's what he told me. And then we're seeing a continued slow walk and cover up of a lot of this information. And I know that is why. I firmly believe that that's why it is being covered up. So when everyone's getting mad at Pam Bondi, or you can name anybody you want. The man at the top is Donald Trump. He's the president. And he's the one that was completely against releasing the files. When we started fighting to get them released,
I also saw her being attacked by the Red Hats, saying she got wealthy in office. They all do. They all do. I'm not saying she's Virgin Mary. The thing is that so is Trump with Qatar deals. He's putting real estate in Saudi Arabian countries. His son is involved in drone tech sales to the government, the Pentagon. I had no idea that Don Jr. was building drones. So trust me, there's enrichment going on. There's enrichment. They're all complicit to it. However, she did stand up for against this. Against this. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute. It says 19 years old there. It is actually 9 years old. Thank you for a fun night. Your little girl was a little naughty. Thank you for a fun night. These people. I found 3 very good young girls. Epstein victim list, all redacted. I love the torture video. If you're still defending this, you're complicit. A lot of people say, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Well, one, your voice has got to be heard. You got to get in the same, hey, man, this is our line in the sand. That's where it starts. A lot of people say, well, we got to do something, but those people don't really want to do anything. They just want to bitch in the comments. They want to bitch. One, we got to have a unified voice and speak out against this stuff, because when there's enough of us, then other things can happen. But at this moment in time, we have to have a unified voice that we will not tolerate this. It doesn't matter whatever color tie you wear anymore. That team nonsense is not real. It's the only way to divide us and for you to keep pulling for your team and stay complicit to the evil that the elites are doing. Listen to Nancy Mace here when asked.
Faith in our justice system, it is a system of injustice. There is evidence, there are co-conspirators. You can't have thousands of victims and have no other accomplices except for one. There's no effort, none at all, to prosecute predators in the Epstein cases. And it's devastating, but it is important that we get that list out of potential co-conspirators.
Howard Lutnick had lunch on the Epstein Island after he pleaded guilty in 2009. He also continued interactions with them after he said he had severed relations with them. Are you concerned about that? Well,
I'm concerned about anyone that would hang out with a convicted pedophile. He preyed on them, and he abused them, and he groomed them. And anyone that hangs out with a guy like that, I'm sorry.
And have them in your administration, always in the shadow, right behind, breathing the same air as Donald Trump, right? And I think it's ironic just these past few days since this congressional hearings have been going on, they painted the temple white. Why? Why now, after all these years? All of a sudden this week we're going to do it. I could speculate. This is one of the darkest cover-ups in American history. And you have to decide, what side are you on? You're on the side of evil or the side of good? Make your decision. Leave a comment below. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Black Scout.
2, 3. 4, 2.